Well, I picked the Ravens to be able to win this game, and that's because John Harbaugh is really, really good after bye weeks. He's got a 9-2 record after bye weeks, and one of those losses came in 2015 when the Ravens set a franchise record for number of players on IR. So I expect them to have a few new wrinkles that they haven't shown on tape thus far through this point in the season. But to Nick Boyle's comments, he's absolutely right. The Pats defense hasn't seen an offense like what the Baltimore Ravens have, but that's because they haven't seen a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to have 1,600-plus yards passing and 500-plus yards rushing through the first 7 games of the season. And so the way that the Ravens use him, not only in the run game, but what they do in terms of the passing game, being able to get him out on the perimeter and put pressure on the defense with the run-pass options that he has, that, to me, is what's going to be the challenge for that Patriots defense. The one thing I'll say about the Pats defense is we know that they're on a historic pace, but the one place that they can get got is in the run game because they're giving up 4.6 yards per attempt, which is 21st in the National Football League. So I look for the Ravens to feature a heavy dose of that run game, whether it's Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards. This is going to be one of those fist fight in the phone booth type of games. And the Ravens, I like their chances in that type of matchup.
And the run defense is actually even worse than what you just described when you say 21st in the league over the course of the season. Since week 4, so for take away weeks 1 through 3, they're giving up 5.7 per carry, which is 32nd in the NFL out of 32 teams. Why has the bad run defense not hurt the Patriots in any way whatsoever? Because you're playing with such a lead so consistently. It's been so impossible to pass on this team. Teams are forced to pass. They can't pass. They turn the ball over. They give short fields. All of a sudden, you're down 17 points. Even in that Browns game, on the second of the 3 consecutive turnovers, that happened on a 60-yard Nick Chubb run right up the middle where he gashes the defense. I think it's caught from behind, fumbles the ball, and obviously that turns into a huge negative for Cleveland after it otherwise would have been the sign of what they could do. Throughout that football game, Nick Chubb was having success running the football. Listen, I also think the Patriots are going to lose this weekend, Jenna, and I think that we talk about football being in 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. Pats have played 8 games. If you were to rank their previous 8 opponents and include the Ravens, so 9 available options, the very best offense of the 9 that they would have faced is Baltimore. The very best special teams of the 9 that they would have faced is Baltimore, and the second best defense that they would have faced is Baltimore. I think Buffalo has a better defense.
And maybe the very best quarterback, if you take Baker out of it.
No. Right now, there's no maybe about it. Yeah. People would say, what about Ben Roethlisberger in week 1?
But he was probably already hurt.
Well, yeah, I mean, if his elbow was, it's 17 passes later, he's gonna suffer that major injury.
Right.
Then how healthy was he
been in that game
in week 1? And that Steelers offense was its first game with no AB, dealing with all the transition. So, no, this is, and for a while, Baltimore's, all their gaudy offensive numbers were being buttressed enormously by the 59-point explosion week 1.
Miami game.
But now you've played half a season. So every extra game you play, the less impact one outlier game has. So I don't look at Baltimore as the best offense in football, but they have shown that they are clearly a top 10 offense, and the Patriots have been playing nothing but bottom 10 offenses all year.
When Bill Belichick sits down to start game planning against Lamar Jackson, is there more of a focus on his arm or on his legs come Sunday?
Well, I think you have to focus on his legs because the Baltimore Ravens want to be a run-first outfit. And when you look at what John Harbaugh and their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, are trying to do, they want to change the math in the run game going up against that Patriots front 7. What I mean by that is this. In any defense, you can't account for the quarterback as a runner. So if your quarterback is going to be the ball carrier, then the tailback actually becomes an extra blocker, and that's exactly what the Ravens do. So when you have a situation where Mark Ingram is in the backfield and they're running that power roll play, Lamar Jackson is the runner in that situation, and so you've got an extra blocker, so there isn't that unblocked defender that's there to make the tackle at the point of attack. So that's what makes it difficult to be able to defend. And the Baltimore Ravens, listen, they're getting healthy at the right time. Coming off of the bye week, they're expecting to have Jimmy Smith back, Patrick Owansor, their inside linebacker, but most importantly, in my opinion, Hollywood Brown, who's the guy that's on the outside of that offense, out there on the edge, outside the numbers, who can stretch the field. So that's going to create a lot more room underneath for all of those other receivers, but also for Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram in that run game.
I also want to ask you a question defensively, because I think people say when you play a running quarterback, you keep a spy on him. Man, I watched Bobby Wagner, who might be the best inside linebacker in the entire NFL. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. Be made to look slow and out of shape when they tried to have him spy Lamar. And it's not because Bobby's slow and it's not because he's out of shape, but it's because there's no linebacker in the league that can match Lamar's speed. If you can't effectively spy him with a linebacker, what do you spy him with a safety? Do you bring an extra safety on the field? Like, what do you do to try to take his legs away when he is not just a mobile quarterback, but he is arguably the fastest quarterback we've had in the league? In fact, not arguably, the fastest quarterback we've had in the league since Michael Vick.
Well, I think we got a little bit of insight in the playoff game that they had against the Chargers when they had those 7 defensive backs on the field and they challenged Lamar Jackson to beat him with his arm. He wasn't capable of doing that in his rookie year. I think he's capable of being able to do that now. But even beyond that, you didn't have the physicality from the running back position like you do now with Mark Ingram. And I think that has to be the difference. So when you have Lamar Jackson that's able to run the football, then you have the physical presence, that guy that can run in between the tackles, and Mark Ingram, it makes it tough from a personnel groupings perspective to match up well against that Ravens offense. So, listen, this is going to be a tough challenge for Bill Belichick. I don't think there are any easy answers. Typically, teams don't feature their quarterback as a running back because they don't want their quarterback being hit. But Lamar Jackson has this uncanny ability to be able to get down before he takes hard contact.
He doesn't get square shots.
No square shots.
He gets his shoulder sideways. You don't see him getting lit up a lot, given how often he runs. Listen, these next 6 weeks where there's 5 games, we're going to really find out how. We know the Patriots are really good. The numbers and the records say they're the best team in football by a wide margin. I don't believe that to be true. We're going to find out over the next 5 games. Baltimore, Philly, Dallas, Houston,
they'll get tested.
Kansas City. You've got 5 legitimate playoff caliber teams that's going to be playing them with 5 legitimate above average, if not excellent quarterbacks. We'll find out who the Patriots really are these next 5
And both of you have the Ravens winning this game.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Wow. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.